Hello again and welcome to another video from the Marketing Study Guide. In this video we're going to have a look at how we calculate a price premium metric. My name is Jeff and I'm a long-time marketing lecturer and practitioner. Now we're going to have a look at four approaches and I'll explain why we would use each one along the way. First one is using a formula, which we can do if we have accurate market share information. The second approach, if we don't have that data, is a crude method of not weighting it and just having a ballpark estimate. The third approach is a refined ballpark. Again, it's an estimation, but we're trying to weight it a little bit to get a scale to it. And then finally, we're going to estimate it against our direct competitors. So let's jump into it. I'm in Excel. I'm just moving down. Okay, and I've got some data here. Firms 1 to 10, I've got unit sales, prices, revenue shares, revenue share, etc. Now, because I've calculated this, I'll just bring up the formula. Because I have sales, I can go sales for firm 1 divided by total sales for the marketplace. That gives me our revenue, our unit market share and our revenue market share, if I use those numbers, and these numbers add up to 100. So we have those numbers, these two numbers here of percentages. Price premium is very easy to do, and I've already calculated it using the formula. And as you can see, it is simply G20, which is revenue share, over F20, which is unit share. So anytime the revenue share is greater than the unit share, the price premium will be greater than 1. Okay, anytime it is below, like this one here, revenue share is less than unit share, our price premium will be below the 1 mark. Obviously, most companies want to have a price premium, having to compete on price and having a low price and being a discounter generally is a strategy best avoided unless we have cost advantages. Okay, so without a cost leadership position, without underlying cost advantages, it's a bit of a risky strategy. So for example here, firm 5 has the lowest price premium at 53%. So it's 53% less than the average. So it's well below the market leader. As you can see, their price is $3.55. Up here, we've got $9 and $9. So it's about a third of the market leader, but compared to the average, is about half the average price. So this is not a great position to be in. And this one here is even worse at 38%. So at $2.56, and you're competing in a marketplace where some companies can get $7 and $9 and, you know, plenty around sixes. It's not a good position to be in when you're selling at those levels. So a low price premium is not good. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do it. They're all formulas. And this one here, as you can see, whenever we have a match 2 and 2, we have a price premium of exactly the average. So there it is. It's simply a formula all the way through. Okay, let's assume that we don't have this data. We're in an industry that doesn't capture it or doesn't share it, or a small business, we don't have access to the data. So that's going to be the majority of companies, to be frank. So what we would have to do is calculate it using a formula. We do a survey and go, okay, they're the prices in the market, and these need to be the prices that they sell for on average. Okay, now if we have market share data, discounts have already been included in the revenues. Okay, so we've got revenue of firm 1, it's been reported, it's been captured maybe through a supermarket, it's got sales, and then we just work out revenue divided by sales to get the average price. So they might normally sell at, say, $12, and half the time they have a 50% discount. Okay, that's extreme. I'm just making the example here. And their average selling price is $9. So we need to do a survey at several points of time and work out their average selling price. So what we would do is work out, okay, what is the normal price? Okay, I'll just do that over here. So say it's $10. And what is the discount price? That might be $8. Okay, how often are they on discount? So we might say 75% of the time they sell at normal price, and 25% of the time they sell at the discount. So I'm just going to multiply those out. So those two there, and then I just add them up, which is $9.50, of course. So we would work out that way. So we would construct these based on combination of real price, discount price, and a rough time estimate. So let's assume we've done that, and these are the ones we've calculated out from our observation in the marketplace by checking online or checking in the store what they're charged. Okay, now assuming those numbers are correct from our surveys or observations, etc., or they're roughly right. I mean, this is an estimation here. All we would do is then go, okay, what is that versus the average of all of these? Sorry, I missed a little thing there. So I'm just going to put in $ there to anchor the formula, and then drag that down, and then I have it again. So I'll just show you the second one there. I've anchored the red box, so it just moves down each time. So it's comparing it's the same average. So here we have a price premium of 137, and now it's 153. So these are estimates because we don't have the actual data. So you can see they're relatively close. They're not exact. I mean, this one's a little bit out. And the reason is because there's no weighting to it. Okay, so I'm not taking into account the volume of sales. I'm assuming that everybody is roughly the same. Okay, so it gives me those numbers. Okay, now I move to the third approach, is now weighting it. Now we probably want to do this. So again, we know the marketplace, we know these players, and we have a sense of how big they are. I'm just going to get rid of this because I need some space. So we know these are the big players, so I might put 3 next to them because they're the largest, and then we've got a couple in the middle size, and these are the small players. So I'm just going to weight them 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to have 18 hypothetical firms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that number by 3. I'm going to multiply these all out. So I'm going to have 3 lots of these players, 2 lots of these players, and 1 lot of these players, because they dominate the market industry. So that is going to give me $112. I've added all up, and I'm going to divide that by 18. Okay, that's going to give me an average price of $6.23. So I'm now going to use that. Now, all I've done is assume that these are larger players. I know who they are. I'm making that assumption. If I put some percentages over here, you can see what I'm doing probably a little bit better. 3 divided by 18. I'm assuming that they represent, I'll just put the $ there, 16% of the market. They're actually 28. Okay, so these will be consistent. So I'm putting these down as saying, oh, they're about 17% of the market. They're about 11, and they're about 6. Okay, the reality is I'm a little bit out, but that was my best guess. Okay, if I put 4 here, if I can put 4 here now, I can show you that would probably be their more appropriate number. So, 19%, 10%. But assuming I didn't know that, I'll just undo that. So what I do now is I divide the unit price by this weighted number. Okay, and again, I'll put the $ in, and I can drag all this the way down. So I've got some borders coming through. So you can see this is the formula. That's the exact number of price premium. That was a rough guess. And here where I weighted it, I've actually, got a little bit closer. So you can see by having an estimate of how big these players are. So if I knew that this player here was the clear superior one in terms of market share, I might put them a 4. Okay, and you can see his numbers are not too dissimilar. Okay, but we've got some work to do here. Keep that in mind. We've had to do market observation, discounting, time discounting, normal price. Okay, and if we're in the industry and we're doing competitor analysis a lot of the time, we would actually know this or have a record of this. We would generally know how often our competitors are discounting, and then we should, over time, get a feel for size of market share, etc. Now the next approach is to the same as what we've just done, but this time I'm going to look at direct competitors. And the reason we're going to do that is to make sure we're not worried about everybody in the marketplace if we're not going to compete against them. How are we tracking against the key players? So I've just scrolled down to the same data, but I put the same data in unit price order. So you can see here we've got a couple of players. These are all $6 to $9, and then there's a bit of a jump down. So I'm going to have some discount brands, and we can tell that from our price premiums here. The teams, firms 5 and 6 and 10. So they're down the bottom here, 5, 6, and 10. They're our discount brands. We've probably got mid-price brands. And then we've got a couple of premium brands. Okay, so we could do the same calculation as we've done over here. Okay, I've added this data. What that data is 1 for 7, 4 for 1. So I've just, 1 was 4, I brought that down. 7 was 1, I brought that down. Okay, so I remember these are in price order now. So I put the exact same numbers as is here, and the exact same numbers that were here. They've come down in the reorganized list of number of firms. Okay, and what I've done, so that's straight from above. And what I've done is I've grouped them based on these are our premium people here, our premium brands, then our mid-price brands, and then finally our budget brands. So 5 is simply those numbers, 7 is just those numbers. So that's our weighted number of firms, and that is simply the numbers we had before. So before I added them all up, got to 1,921, gave me an average price of $639. Now what I'm doing is the premium, their average price is $919, which is this number here because they're the big market leader and they don't sell a lot, so the average is in the marketplace is close to them because that's what's selling. That's not selling as much. Here it's 689, so across them it's 689, and our budget end of the market is 388. So now what we do is we compare each of the brands, their pricing versus the average for, just bring that up. Okay, so I'm going to make that a bit more so you can see what's happening there. So they're identical pricing. So there's no price differentiation other than they're outselling them. So that would be a concern for firm 7. Maybe they ain't really a discount, a premium brand. And we just keep repeating that down. So obviously, once I do the first one, it's going to be easier to put a dollar sign in and then copy that down. And as you can see, in the mid-price market, we've still got a couple of firms that get a slight price premium. Firm 2 in particular is able to be a little bit 5% higher than the market. And this one here is sort of a mid-place between a mid-price and a budget brand. So maybe it's chasing a unique positioning or something, but we would be concerned about its pricing there, particularly given its market share and then we just repeat for the budgets. Just copy it down. The easiest thing is just to drag the formula, and then we can just copy it down, put a box around it so we know it's different. So again, down the premium end of the market, we've got, sorry, the budget end of the market, we've got 2 premium budget brands, if that makes sense. Now, okay, let's have a look at firm 3. They're 114 here, and here they're 0.6. That's their real number, and we've estimated it pretty close most of the time. So compared to the average brand, every single brand in the marketplace, yep, they are a clear discounter, and they're well below. But they only really compete in the discount end of the market. You know, and they're not really competing up here. They're half that price, or less than half that price. So they're not considered by consumers to be a choice. You know, I want the quality one, or I want, you know, save some money. But in the money saving end, the budget end of it, they are able to have a 15% price premium. So, okay, let's recap why we'd use this. The formula tells us exactly, okay? And it tells us against every player in the marketplace, and it weights it, and it uses the discounts, etc. But it's really comparing groups, you know, the overall group. So we're not segmenting it. We could use the market share data, break down these markets if we wanted to. Again, the data, if we don't have it, which is going to be most firms, we can get fairly close by using some estimate of average price, including the discount. I would always try to look to weight it. As you can see, these numbers moved much closer to the real number by doing that, by keeping that in mind. And then finally, I think this is the best approach, is to think about the different positionings, the different direct competitors and indirect competitors. Look, we'll do both. We've got comparisons against our overall market, and then we've got our comparisons against our direct competitors. And this is very helpful information. So hopefully that was a good video for you. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos on market share.